What, bro? You're supposed to be leading us in. I don't know what you're doing.
No, I thought up at the top it like it said it stopped recording for a second, but then it didn't. So I was like, "Wait, did you stop it?" Because you laughed.
No, I'm just
No,
chilling, bro.
no. Welcome back into the Sporting Lounge, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's just me and Shane, Derpamation tonight. No Ben or Austin because they're bitches. But all right, Week 6 recap. Week 7 start and sits. Where do you want to start with Week 6? Because it was an ugly week.
Yeah, let's start with the ugliest game of the week, Thursday night. Chiefs visit Mile High and squeak out a win in one of the ugliest games I've seen in a while. We touched a little bit on that already, but just really want to point out how ugly that game was. Horrible matchup. It wasn't. There's not much to talk about. It wasn't a great game fantasy wise for anybody. You know, you see low scoring games and you hope it's a good defensive matchup. And honestly, I wish I could say that, but after wasting 3 hours watching that game, I was very excited for Sunday to come.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. That I mean, ironically, the Broncos played a little bit better. Whether that's because Kelsey was hurt, he wasn't 100%. I don't know. They're interesting going forward. I mean, they're definitely committed to a rebuild by the ownership's words, but
Yep.
this team
Win a couple games along the way, hopefully.
spoil someone's playoff chances.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not too fond of anything going on for the Broncos the rest of the season. The Chiefs better start playing a little bit better against better competition, though.
Yep. Speaking of playing better against better competition, Jets, Eagles.
I called
One
it.
of the mighty have fallen, and two of them have fallen this week, and we'll get to the other one shortly. But Jets,
I almost
Eagles.
I almost called the score correct too, not just the upset. I guessed 21-17 and it ended up being 2014. That was
Very
it was
close.
cool when I was watching it. I was like, yes, let's go. I called it right, but I was like, no, at the same time because I wanted more points from AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword when your fantasy picks with what you got in your roster have to contradict your opinion. You're like, hopefully I'm wrong, like
Yep.
oh, for sure, Zach Wilson, like damn may he be, but like he's showing grit, and that's exciting for Jets fans, especially with the news that Aaron Rodgers is planning on coming back in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Is what the reports
Crazy.
are saying, which
Absolutely
is insane,
crazy.
especially at his age, just obscene, crazy, and this is like, if Zach Wilson keeps playing like this, like, there's a chance that, like, next year they look to him, especially if Rodgers retires, this, and Zach Wilson winning these games, if he just goes 500, the Jets could have a playoff run, and no one wants to play the Jets. They're just one of those teams. They're gritty, they're nasty, they're going to beat you like down the gut, they're going to punch you in the mouth, and they're not a fun team to deal with. So, Jets beating Eagles, keeping at 500 on the record, that's huge for the Jets. As for the Eagles, I always say, it's better to rip off the Band-Aid early rather than in the playoffs,
Yeah, Jalen Hurts started. I mean, it was a rough day all day, but he started he started being noticeably like visually uncomfortable when Lane Johnson left, and that's huge. He didn't trust his guys to give him a pocket that he felt comfortable in the rest of the night. And kudos to the Jets. Their edge rushers did a good job of keeping him in the pocket too, and not letting him get outside and create those plays. And it's good defense, great game planning by the Jets. And I think it was a gut check for the Eagles that they needed. I think they'll be all right. But the team I'm thinking it's not going to be all right just because their injuries are could be a little longer. The 49ers, Browns. Albeit the Browns are on right now, if the season ended right now, this year's Browns would have, like, statistically would be a top 10 all-time defense. So, like, I'll give it to them.
Dominant unit on defense.
Yes.
going out, getting Kareem Hunt to come back. This was a game where, Kareem Hunt scored, the only touchdown for the Browns that game?
Yep. I liked his involvement.
Yeah, like the Browns are just like playing to their strengths. They recognize, Nick Chubb's out, but we still got this power run scheme. We still got this power run offensive line, and they stick to their game plan, and that's gonna make it so they win a couple extra games that they probably shouldn't. Circa their visit to San Francisco.
Yeah. I don't know how long. I mean, defense this good's going to keep the Browns in a lot of games this season, but
Look at the Steelers, man.
yeah.
Like same song and dance.
Yep. And Deshaun Watson just not really given a timetable when he's going to come back for something that seems like nothing. It's kind of interesting to me. Wonder if there's something bigger going on behind the scenes.
Oh,
But-
you know.
Or if
Deshaun
he's
Watson's
just...
my favorite player. Did you know that, Travis?
Oh, yeah.
Can we go one episode without me reaming out fucking taint
But on
jokes?
the 49ers side, though, how big is the injury to McCaffrey? And what is that going to do for them going forward?
McCaffrey going down is going to cost him another win or two, depending on how long he's out. That's just a matter of fact. McCaffrey is a big, big part of that offense. There's a reason that he's the number one running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a discussion. Who's better than Christian McCaffrey right now? Who?
No one.
No one? Yeah. And, that's not going to do any favors for Brock Purdy, this guy who's been like a high percentage passer. You go for high percentage plays because you got your run established. You don't get the run established as early and often, then those high percentage plays are kind of going to become riskier to call because you're going to be stuck in 3rd and 6 situations. So just on a fundamental level, it is scary McCaffrey going down, especially with how dominant this 49ers offense has been. That's 49ers team overall. So based on that information, I think McCaffrey going down, like if he's down for 4 or 5 weeks to full season, which is like what's being talked about, you're looking at like 2 or 3 loss difference with him not being there.
I agree, especially since like this upcoming schedule is not kind. Like they should still be able to make it through the Vikings next week or this coming week. But then they got the Bengals, the Jaguars, Bucks team who has a good defense, Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks again, then a more manageable game Cardinals, and then Ravens after that. Like it's a
slippery slope.
Yeah, that could be if they could cost them the number 1 seed, and especially since a team like I'm not saying that the Lions are better, but like the Lions have a really easy schedule, so wins wise, it's very.
I said it last episode. I'll say it this one. The Lions might not be the best team in the NFC, but they have the most control in the NFC. You look at their schedule, you look at like how healthy their team is. Knock on wood, but like you're looking at the health of this team. You're pulling towards the halfway point of the season, and you don't have any major injuries. You're looking fresh. Your defense is playing dominant. Talk about this Lions team. How about we go ahead and hop over to that Lions team real quick?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, we do have a couple injuries now. Monty going down is not good, and then we still have Brian Branch and C.J. Gardner still out. But Gardner is actually fast tracking to come back when it was first thought to be a season-ending injury as well. So,
yep,
that could be good news. And then I expect everyone that is hurt to be back after the bye week. So that's the good thing. And if we can make it through this Ravens team coming up, that'd be perfect. But man, oh man.
You scared of the Ravens?
Not a lot. A little, but not a lot. Just because we played them close last year, and I think we're a better team than we were last year. But the way we played against the Bucks, I think we could beat anybody. Our offense didn't click at some times, but the Bucks have a good defense still. That's why they have fast linebacking core, very good linebacking core, and a solid secondary.
Yep.
And then, but St. Brown had himself a day. just the way that the offense plays for each other on this Detroit team, the blocks being thrown by Craig Reynolds this week to get Amon-Ra, and then also like Jameson Williams block the week before. And then Goff is honestly playing the best. He's the best QB in the NFC right now, him or Purdy. And he's playing like it. I think he deserves to be an MVP candidate right now. Not necessarily the front runner, but I think Goff deserves to be a candidate. I don't care what anyone says about if the people you want to talk down on the Lions. Out of all the teams that are 5-1 in the NFL right now, the Lions' opponents added up wins and losses currently is the best out of all those teams. So all the other teams that are 5-1 have on paper played a weaker schedule than the Lions. So don't say that.
Yeah.
But I expect big things going forward. I don't think we're necessarily Super Bowl contenders yet, but I do think that we could contend for the number 1 seed and win a playoff game this year, and that'd be awesome.
Yeah, speaking of Super Bowl contenders that, in my opinion, haven't really lived up to the hype, Bills visit New York, MetLife.
Even though I'm a closet Bills fan and I like them, and I'm glad they won, but that they got away with one to win the game right there.
Yeah,
that was definitely some pass interference.
Yeah, just another ugly game. It was a good defensive bout. Saquon was kept in check. Bills did what they needed to do to win, and that's about what happened there.
They're still a really good defense, but without Milano and Tre'Davious White, I think it caps them at really good instead of being elite. And the Bills' defense the last couple of years has been really good to elite, and then they play like that throughout the regular season, and then the playoffs happen, and then they're a bottom 5 defense all of a sudden. I don't get it. So
Stonks.
Yep. But
Just big brain.
Well, it happens, but Josh Allen's going to continue being Josh Allen. You're going to love him or hate him. He's a fantasy machine. And he always ends up getting enough on the stat sheet to counter any turnovers he has. Giants are garbage. They got lucky
Giants look bad.
I don't understand how they made the playoffs last season, to be honest.
It's just like they started cooking at the right time, man. You see it from time to time. Sometimes you just start cooking at the right time and shit just clicks. Those are always the scariest teams, They're ass in the first half of the season, then out of nowhere they become, good enough to just compete out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, what the hell? And speaking of teams coming out of nowhere, the Dolphins coming onto the scene this season, just trampling teams, just destroying them.
Yeah, I want to know what this Dolphins team is really made of. I mean, they got shellacked by the Bills, but the Bills have just owned Miami in recent years. I don't know, man. You can't. Miami's going to get better, especially with Jalen Ramsey coming back.
Yep.
The defense is going to get more healthy. The offense is the fastest in the league. You got to.
And they got Chase Claypool now. It was kind of funny with the Bears getting Chase Claypool because it's when are you going to get him the ball? But the Dolphins getting him, it's like.
It's to say, if you actually put some effort in, the defense is paying attention to Tyreek and Waddle, and the safeties can never play super far up because they're fast. Yeah. So Claypool has the opportunity, if he puts the work in, to be open a lot.
Yep. Possibly good fantasy pickup.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And
I think Young's looking good, but his offensive line is just so bad. It's so bad, and it's just one of the worst offenses to watch in the NFL.
Thielen's a happy surprise right now.
For fantasy, yeah, 110%.
Young's comfortable going to him as that veteran presence. And I kind of want Thielen.
Yeah, my team's starting to click in that league, huh? Yeah. High hopes on that, but talking about disappointing offenses, Raiders visit the Patriots. Jimmy G goes back home and leaves Bill Belichick down to 1-5. You know, this is just like
At least they like kind of tried to play inspired ball and kept the game close.
but that's like the story of the Patriots all season, man. It's just like what they need to turn the page.
At this point, you got nothing to lose. Like,
or they tank it so they go get Caleb Williams. Imagine what happens if Billy B gets Caleb Williams.
I don't know, man. Caleb Williams said today that he wants part ownership of the organization that drafts him.
It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
If Rodgers wasn't able to do that with the Jets, Caleb Williams isn't gonna get it.
No, it ain't gonna happen.
The only person in NFL history that possibly could have made it happen was Brady, but it's against NFL rules to be an owner while playing. So,
yeah,
that's the only reason he wasn't.
Yeah, I think Rodgers did have partial ownership of the Packers by a majority margin or something that like.
I think the city owns the Lambeau Field and everything, like owns the team technically.
It's a communion. Yeah, the Packers. There's no owner of the Packers. It's like a communion of people that live in Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
But
do you think these Raiders can make the playoffs?
No. They're not in a division that will let them win the division, and like, do I think that they're going to be better than 9-8? Like, I don't really think so. You know, I think realistically, like 9-8 is their ceiling at this point.
Yeah.
You know, like their defense, like Max Crosby gets a lot of praise and is very well deserved, but the rest of that defensive line leaves a lot to be desired. You know, like it feels like
I want my Lions to go get Max Crosby.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I wouldn't overpay, but I'd say give up a future first, a single first for him. I think that's fair. He's 26 and he's arguably top 5 at his position in the league. So
he's gonna cost more than that, man.
I know.
Yeah, like there's no way. But, you know, talking about getting big trades done and big deals wrapped up, the Colts go ahead and finish up their deal with Jonathan Taylor last week. Mm-hmm. But they go ahead and lose to the Jaguars 37-20. Yikes.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, the Jaguars are getting better right now. Going to London is exactly what they needed for 2 weeks, and they come back and they keep it rolling. I think the Colts are going to be a team that just plays spoiler to some people again this season. Anthony Richardson going down and having shoulder surgery. He's done. He's done for the season. So it's Minshew mania there, which for fantasy purposes makes Pittman great because he gives him the Matt Stafford treatment. But I think you have Jonathan Taylor coming back. He's locked in. Zach Moss was starting to play really well. Like that, your QB goes down, and then you got your franchise running back coming back to the mold after your backup's doing great. Like you have like an identity issue on offense coming into the hold right here. So I don't think it's going to be fun for the Colts for the next couple of weeks.
Neither do I. Talking about not being fun too, I think you hit everything on it, so I don't got too much to say on that game.
You're good.
Bengals visit the Seahawks. Seahawks defense comes out and puts on a terrific performance. Dominant.
Yep.
Just offense went 1-5 in the red zone, and that's going to cost you games. Bengals get one that they probably shouldn't have. And scoot on up to 3-2 now. So now it's just chaos or are they 3-3 now?
They're 3-3.
3-3, excuse me. Chaos is pursuing in the AFC North. The Steelers are 3-2. Ravens lead the division at 4-3 or 4-2.
You're rooting for my Lions this week too, then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always want the Ravens to lose. You know. Speaking of the Ravens, they managed to go ahead and get that win over the Titans, 24-16. You know, I thought it was a really good game. You know, as a grinder. You it wasn't nothing pretty, but it was just one of those games where you got to see everybody's guts, and that's always fun to watch.
Yeah, I like it. Tennessee's tried this season. They have some wins that are I like their win against the Chargers, but the announcement today that the Titans are going to move Derrick Henry before the trade deadline to a contender to help him finish off his career. Like they're not giving him the same amount of touches as they used to. He's still pretty good, but you can definitely tell he's lost a step. He doesn't have the same burst. I can see. I like that for fantasy purposes because that means they're comfortable with Tyjae Spears being the workhorse going forward. So for fantasy purposes, if you haven't already picked him up, you missed out. Or go try to trade for him right now.
Yeah.
And then Henry, I think he's not going to go somewhere where he's not going to get a healthy chunk of touches. I could see him going somewhere like Buffalo that needs
maybe Cincinnati,
maybe Cincy. Maybe Baltimore. Honestly, he could literally swap and go to Baltimore. Baltimore needs
take the flight back.
Yeah, I think Henry on Baltimore or Henry on Buffalo makes the most sense in my opinion.
Yeah,
and
maybe even Tampa. A good 1-2 with Rachaad White.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nasty. Oh man, so many options.
Baltimore, I think, is a good team. They got a good defense. Lamar. He's shown a little bit of the numbers aren't there quite yet for the critics, but I've seen a lot of. I've watched a few Ravens games this season. I've seen a lot of that has to do with his wide receivers just straight dropping shit. That's hitting
just dropping.
Hands. That's a lot of that's not his fault. I'll give him that. Lamar
should have probably an extra 300 yards on the year, man.
And a couple touchdowns.
Yeah. It's rough. You made a post earlier on our Facebook group, asking, would you rather have Flacco or Lamar, as your quarterback? And, everybody was like, oh, Flacco, he's got a Super Bowl ring. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. As a Steelers fan, okay, I was never scared of Flacco. Flacco never scared me as a Steelers fan. He was a good field manager. He was able to get the field set up right. And that's why he's a great second string quarterback even at this point of his career. Now, with that being said, Lamar Jackson is a once-in-a-lifetime type talent on a team that is not nearly as good as any of those Ravens teams back when Joe Flacco was the quarterback for the Ravens. We're talking about Ray Rice when he was in his prime. We're talking about Ray Lewis. We're talking about Ed Reed. We're talking about, that dominant defense that just, is historically good. We're talking about, an offensive line that is historically good. We're talking about a team that just, had historically good skill position players. The Ravens don't have that right now. OBJ is starting on their team, and OBJ has been a bum for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, he has.
Zay Flowers has proven that, he shouldn't be in the NFL. He should be selling candy bars because his fucking fingers are so fucking buttery.
Rashad Bateman's just wasting his athletic ability.
Yep, and it's just
6'3" with 4.3 speed. Come on, man.
Just grab the fucking ball. Mark Andrews is the only reliable target on that Ravens offense, and unfortunately, Mark Andrews isn't going to lead you to a lot of big scoreboards, but he will lead you to a few wins.
Yeah. That's why I think the Ravens got Derrick Henry. That would help a lot for their offense.
That would.
To give them a third viable weapon that the defense has to scheme against instead of just Lamar and Andrews. And man, Jerry Rice needs to come to Baltimore and give him some stickum. But
hell no.
But with the Flacco Lamar thing, Lamar's definitely the better pure athlete and definitely a better rusher.
He's a much better passer. I'm tired of this debate with Joe Flacco versus Lamar. He's just objectively a better passer. The thing is with Flacco, he had good playoff runs.
Yeah.
His regular seasons were abysmal.
He's up there in total stats, but because he got to start for like 14 years and it's the era he played in. But he's like top 20 in a lot of statistical like bulk stats, I think, for yards.
How many times has he made a Pro Bowl in his whole career?
None. I mean, he's gonna
Zero.
I think he's gonna make it into the Hall of Fame because he's gonna get the Terrell Davis treatment just because his 2012 playoff run was so good.
Christ, no way.
He got a Super Bowl MVP, and it was dude. That was a great Super Bowl run.
He was carried by his defense.
He had arguably like a top 5 QB run in the Super Bowl.
He had a great
playoff
run
history.
on the playoffs, sure, but it was not good enough to get you in the Hall. It's just not. Like
it got Terrell Davis in, but I mean he did it more than once though.
Yeah, Terrell Davis carried the fucking Broncos to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Like, and he was still good through the regular season. He was still a top 10 back through the regular season. It's just during the playoffs, it was just like, it's time.
All right, here's an interesting one because here's another quarterback who's in a similar boat as Flacco.
Let me go ahead and say this before we go ahead and like just go past. Like, want to talk about stats? Flacco's best season in the NFL was in 2016. He had 4,300 passing yards, 4,317, 20 touchdowns, 15 picks. It's just like he never was a great quarterback. He doesn't deserve anywhere near the Hall. Like, he's not a Hall of Fame caliber player. Now, Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, the trajectory he's at going at, he's a first ballot.
The MVP helps a lot.
Yeah.
And then him owning an NFL record as well, or a couple. But here's something with Flacco. So Flacco like has some bulk stats just because of longevity play, and then one great playoff run, a Super Bowl ring, and MVP. Another quarterback who is probably going to be first ballot, who I think is extremely overrated, has not identical, but a very similar career trajectory of what Flacco did, but he had one more playoff run like Flacco did. He had 2 of them instead of 1. And his name's Eli Manning.
Yeah.
I don't. Flacco's not a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. Should Eli be? Because Eli.
Yes, because Eli was still very good through the regular season multiple times. Yes, he was. Like, why do people say this shit? Eli was like a top 5 quarterback for 10 years straight, man. Like,
I think he only had like 2 seasons where he was even top 12 in his entire career. Me and Ben have looked this up extensively.
He made the Pro Bowl 4 years, so just 4 years guaranteed he's top 10 QB in the NFL. Without looking at anything else, 4 of those years, he is the top 10 quarterback at least. Like, and you look at the stat lines and you want to compare them, like, dude, let's go ahead and compare them side by side because this shit is going to be laughable. Eli Manning has, so 236 games played compared to 183. Eli has like an additional 15,000 passing yards, averaged an additional 0.3 yards per pass attempt, averaged an additional 10 yards per game, and also Eli had to play at the eclipse of his career. Flacco wasn't good enough to play at the eclipse of his career. So, like, if we cut off the last few years of Eli's career, these numbers are way up on averages. But we ain't gonna cherry pick. 366 passing touchdowns to 232, and then 244 interceptions to 147, which, like, you know, similar ratio, but, like, they have similar lines, sure. But, also, Eli has 4 Pro Bowl appearances and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And he beat the Patriots.
Oh, so that's the one thing, like, just the 17-0 thing, that's what I think gets him in. But his career completion percentage
throughout his career. Like, here's the difference: is Eli was a player throughout his career where, like, everybody talked about Eli in a high regard. If you didn't, like, there was like a 10-year period where everybody talked about Eli in a high regard.
Well, here's the thing: arguably his best season was 2015. But his second best season was 2011 when he made the Pro Bowl, and he didn't deserve to make the Pro Bowl that year at all. He went 9-7, 4,900 yards, 29 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Stafford went 11-5 that season, had 41 touchdowns, over 5K yards, and only one more interceptions. So I don't take Pro Bowls into consideration with that. Eli has some stuff that he shouldn't. 2015, yes, 2015 is the only season in his entire career where I'll argue that he was top 10. And
like it's annoying because it's just like it's just like you're acting like you didn't live in the era where like Eli was a very good quarterback. Like you're acting like you don't remember 10 years ago when Eli was regarded as a high-end quarterback. There was a reason.
I don't ever think he was that good.
You don't remember that era? You don't remember everybody being like...
I just personally thought they were wrong. Like, literally statistically, 2014 and 2015 are the only years.
The Giants were a run-first team. They relied on their defense during that era. They ran the ball a fuck ton. And still, even after doing that, Eli's, like, getting 4,000 yards passing a season. And, yeah, like, he had a couple not-so-great seasons, but also it's one of those things where it's like, you get 2 Super Bowl rings. The thing is, you get 1 Super Bowl ring, I get to make the argument, your defense carried you. And you don't prove it on any other of your fucking seasons. Okay, Eli has 2. There's no arguing, and he has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Like, we're talking about Eli fucking carrying the Giants when they needed him most. And that's what Eli's whole career was. Flacco's career wasn't that. Eli was clutch. So that's what the stats aren't communicating. That's why there's so many wins under his belt. And you can be like, oh, well, you know, it's because his defense carried him. Sure, you could say that, but also he was clutch in those moments. And that's what he'll be remembered for, is being clutch. That's what Eli Manning's whole Hall of Fame resume is built on, is being clutch. Like, for example, in 2011, that year that you just referenced where, you know, you're saying, oh, no, Stafford deserved to get in. Fucking Eli had 6 game-winning drives and 5 fourth-quarter comebacks. That's insane. Like, and he does that multiple times throughout his career where he has multiple comebacks late in the fourth.
Stafford has the most fourth-quarter comebacks since he's been in the league.
Sure, but how many in 2011?
2011, probably as many as Eli. I think 2011 is actually the season Stafford set the NFL record for most of the season.
Might be right. Let's see. He had less. He had 3 over 4.
Okay. I know he did. Literally, I think he didn't. Stafford did it in like 2016 or something then. But
yeah, so Eli had 2 more in each category.
Eli wasn't efficient. He was like 5 more incompletion passes in his career from being under 60% completion. And that's huge for me. I don't consider that great by any means. He's got a 500 career win percentage, and he did have some ugly times, but like arguably from 2005 to 2015, the first 10 years of his career, like he had teams that there's no reason that he should be 500 for his career.
So here's the thing too, like there is a part of going into the Hall of Fame that isn't associated with how you played, but it's associated with the longevity of you being relevant in your career.
Yeah.
Eli was relevant for a long time in his career. Joe Flacco was not. That's the difference. Eli was always relevant. Joe Flacco wasn't. That's the difference. Eli started from the beginning of his career to the end of his career. Joe Flacco started and then was a second string and would start on, you know, depth. And that's the difference. Is like Eli was the face of the Giants for a decade and a half, man. Joe Flacco wasn't the face of the Ravens. He just wasn't. Like, you're like, oh yeah, their quarterback, Joe Flacco, like, he played there for, 10 years? But it's like, whatever. Like, Eli, like, who the fuck is on the fucking graphic every Thursday night for the Giants when Eli's playing? It's Eli.
Well, I think Eli's a hilarious person and cool human being, but
No, I'm talking about the graphic, like, when they're Giants versus Ravens, let's say. If Eli's playing, he's going to be on that fucking graphic.
Yeah.
They're advertising Eli because Eli's that big of a deal. I remember there were graphics where Joe Flacco wasn't on there. It was like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. You know, your quarterback ain't the face of your team 100% of the time, then he's not a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback at any point. It's that point blank, period, simple. Eli's a Hall of Famer. Joe Flacco's not.
Do you think Eli should be first ballot? Okay, that I can live with.
But if he is, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, just his class he's gonna be. I just like his accomplishments. Like a lot. Like I weigh a lot of like career totals, like as far as pure yardage and everything. Like I do weigh it when ranking people all time and whatnot. But I think it's back a little bit further, especially like quarterbacks in this era that got to throw a lot more than the first 50 years of football. But he was average to good for majority of his career in the regular season, but he turned it on during the playoffs, and then the fact that the team that he happened to beat just prevented a perfect season in the Patriots, and it's Tom fucking Brady, like, and his last name, I think that overall he's gonna get in because of that, and should, but I just think that was never necessarily a great quarterback is all. But
he was a great leader.
Yeah.
He led that Giants team, bro. That Giants team was like a perennial playoff team when Eli was there.
I think, honestly, even though he won 2 Super Bowls over Tom Brady, I think his biggest accomplishment during his playing career were those commercials he did with Peyton on ESPN.
Yeah, they were pretty good. Any other games you want to cover from last week?
No, not really. Washington, Atlanta was a shit show. They're both a couple pieces away, but they're getting there. They're not quite. They'll be more relevant next year if they draft well. But on to this week, week 7.
Yep. So tomorrow we got Jaguars visiting. Well, they're visiting New Orleans, right?
I think so.
I think the Jags are back. Yeah, it's at New Orleans.
Yep.
So, Jags visiting New Orleans.
The big thing to keep an eye out for that is Trevor Lawrence's knee, whether or not he's playing.
Yep.
If Trevor Lawrence plays, even if he's not 100% healthy, I still think the Jags take it.
Yeah, the Saints are looking rough.
But if Lawrence doesn't play, then I can see the Saints winning. I don't know what's going on with Carr or Olave. I don't like it.
I think the Jags take care of it either way. I think Trevor Lawrence is just going to be better, but like, I take Jags over Saints 24-17, even if Lawrence doesn't play.
Okay. I still ultimately think Lawrence is going to end up playing anyways. I think the Jags end up winning 27-21. Be careful starting Lawrence this week. Just who knows? But Eaton's a must start. He's a top 5 running back this year. He's currently RB3 in our league
this week for sure.
Kamara's been a top 7 running back since he's been back from suspension, and that's great
over
to
2
see.
weeks.
Yep. And that's been really great to see for people, for fantasy owners of both of them. Eaton's worked. I'd honestly say is a top 3 dynasty running back at the moment too, and
he's what, 24?
Yeah, 23 or 24, one of the two.
I think he's 24. He might be 25.
Nope, 24. Yep, you're right. He'll be 25 in January.
Yep.
But he's looking great. His 4 yards on the dot per carry is the only but like he's getting it done everywhere else. Then if he's getting in the end zone, not turning the ball over, and it's resulting in W's, then beautiful.
I hate YPC being such a relevant stat. Jerome Bettis had a 3.6 YPC. The big thing
Smith had a low one too.
Yeah, the thing is with YPC is it's great for speedbacks that get 10 carries a game and 100 yards because they rip off 180-yarder. But, it's very bad for the power backs that get 3.5 yards per carry. You can hand it to them 3 times and get the first down, but it's just it's ugly.
Yeah, the power backs are expected to run through 750 pounds of meat before they just to get 1 yard.
Yeah, exactly.
But But
exactly.
I think he's getting the job done. I like both Ridley and Christian Kirk for the rest of the season. They're both wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 2 for the rest of the season. High end wide receiver 3, low end wide receiver 2. And then Etienne's a must start. Lawrence has been like a lot of high end QBs this season, up and down, but I think they'll ultimately right the way. He'll keep him in. The Saints, you start Kamara, like you said.
Probably
You
start
played-
Olave because the value you had to invest into him.
Yep.
Yeah,
You-
I think that's about it.
Yep. Derek Carr in 2 QB leagues on a desperation or bye week
Sure.
play.
Sure. I think
That's
if you got
about it.
Derek Carr in Superflex, you go ahead and start him in Superflex role. Speaking of a good Superflex QB this season, Baker Mayfield hosting the Atlanta Falcons.
That one, I'm
taking Falcons, man. I think Falcons take care of business.
I
Like
think this game will
17,
go a long way towards
14.
the division.
It does, yeah. Especially with it being such a shit tier division.
It's gonna Tampa stopped Detroit's run game. Atlanta did not. If
But do you think Tampa could stop the Falcons' run game?
yes, I do.
Do you
Just
think the Lions' run game is actually better than the Falcons' run game?
in a different way because they're schematically different? Because Bijan and Monty are completely different running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they have similar. Everyone kind of has their power back, and then their receiving specialist and
The scat
jack
guy,
of all
yeah.
trades. But Detroit runs the ball up the gut a lot more because they have a better offensive line. Although Atlanta does have a decent line.
Mhm.
But I think Tampa gets it done. I think they bounce back. It's going to be a good game. I think the skilled position players around Baker are better, and Tampa's defense is still slightly better. That's all. I mean, Bijan's better than Rashad White. And Kyle Pitts is a better athlete at tight end, but other than that, I think everywhere else, bless me, Tampa's better. On
Yeah.
paper, at least.
Honestly, I start Baker this week in QB1 leagues. I do. I think he's going to have a couple touchdowns, as I said, 17, 14. I think both of them will be delivered via air. But that being said, I would start Baker. Rashad White, I would personally try to stay away from this week, even though he has been very dominant. It's a weird sit this week, but he's my hot sit of the week, if you want to call it that.
I agree, actually.
I personally think Bijan and Algier could have very good games. Algier in flex and Bijan in your 1 or 2 slot. I think that they do have that value, and I think Mike Evans could go ahead and have a really good game as well. So that's kind of my starts and sits for Falcons Buccaneers. What are you thinking, Travis?
I think Baker in a 2 QB league, you start him this week. I like Mike Evans. You start him no matter what. Chris
Yep.
Godwin, flex no matter what.
Yep.
Rashad White, treat him as like an RB3 at best this week.
Falcons are tough on the run.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you don't have great RB depth and you're stuck with him, I guess play him. But if you got better choices, if you got 2 better choices, then don't play him. And
Yep.
Bijan, you play because of the capital you got invested into him. I just don't. I think you sit Ritter regardless of QB format, league format. I think you sit Algier. I like Tampa's run defense. Bijan is going to be tested this week because of the speed in that linebacking core.
Yep.
And
White's a stud.
I think it's actually kind of set everyone on Atlanta for fantasy this week, to be honest.
Interesting.
Besides Bijan because of the stock you have in him. But I think Tampa gets the win 24-17.
I'm pretty much the exact opposite of you.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a lower scoring bout as well, but I think Falcons take care of business. This is my shit bowl of the week. I would start nobody from this game. Raiders, Bears.
Yeah, especially with no Fields.
Yeah.
don't throw DJ Moore out there unless you don't have the depth and he's a flex play. I think Josh Jacobs you play, maybe. But
maybe.
And then if you still got the Devontae Adams, I guess, because of where you probably drafted him. But he's looked pathetic the last 2 weeks. Dealing with a shoulder injury, I'll give him that. But he's obviously not 100%, and Garoppolo's definitely the worst QB he's ever had thrown to him in his career. So,
speaking of wide receivers and flipping on the other end, Amari Cooper for the Browns. Definitely a start this week, right? Going into the Colts?
Maybe.
Maybe. You don't want to start Amari Cooper into the fucking Colts?
Yeah, it just depends. Yeah, I guess if PJ Walker's going to be starting for Cleveland again this week, then yeah.
Amari looks like a fucking stud right now, dude.
Indy's going to struggle this week. It's going to be... I can see Cleveland blowing Indy out, like 30 to 10.
Yeah, I can see it too. Even though I want Minshew to succeed, if he plays anything like he did last week, then we're gonna probably have a couple issues with that.
I just see, like, if Indy can keep it close and they're able to run the ball effectively all 4 quarters, like, because they're not down, then it could be a little bit different because they have an offensive line that are good run blockers, and if Cleveland's having the run block instead of rush the passer, that could neutralize that a little bit. But if Cleveland gets up by just 10 points early and they're forced to pass the whole game, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly quick. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Michael Pittman is the only player you play just because of the amount of targets Minshew is going to end up having to give him. He just likes peppering Pittman with targets, and that's it. And then, you play Cooper for the Browns.
Njoku's probably a good start this week.
Yeah, definitely on the fly. Definitely on the fly tight end spot play. Good one right there.
He's probably going to be open on waiver or a cheap trade. You know, if you need to win this week, you're at a weird spot. He might be worth picking up. And also, I just like Njoku moving forward, you know. The guy loves the game. That's for sure.
Do you play Jerome Ford this week?
Yeah.
I like it. And do you have confidence with Kareem Hunt moving forward to be flexible?
No.
Flash in the pan?
Sort of. It needs to be proven. You know, I have him on my dynasty roster. It's just one of those situations where, like, I want one more good week where, like, it's proven that he's going to get touches before I go ahead and get comfortable giving him that role. You know, if you're in a situation where you might be in a risky spot and you need that boom or bust, you're talking about a big bust if he doesn't hit, but he could boom. You know, he could be a touchdown or 2 type guy, and that's just who Kareem Hunt is. You know, like, he's a very talented back, just in a weird situation. Speaking of weird situation teams, how about Commanders visiting MetLife?
Oh, that. I think both teams are bad, but I think New York's just so bad that Washington's going to smack them. I mean, I don't know. New York. I mean, if New York's defense plays as well as it just did against the Bills, then who knows? But especially since Daniel Jones should be back this week. But I still expect Washington to get it done. Washington's probably going to win 28-17. And
that's about where I'm at, yeah.
I'm starting Sam Howell.
That's what I was about to say.
You're almost starting Sam Howell in 1 QB leagues. Especially
I would start him in 1 QB leagues this week. I think he'll be a top 12 performing quarterback.
Yeah, he's in our league currently through the season. He's QB 12, I think. So, like, QB's been weird this year for fantasy. It's definitely been something else, that's for sure. But
Sam Howell's looking good.
You play Brian Robinson Jr. I'd flex him, probably.
I think I'd start him.
Yeah.
I think I feel confident starting him against this Giants team, man. I really do. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like Robinson, like last week, he was kind of a bust, but like whatever. You know, shit happens.
He's been boomer bust with the yardage and efficiency, but he's been almost a lock for a touchdown a game though. So
Yeah.
that's been helping him this season. And
Yep.
I think the efficiency could definitely be there this week.
He still has like 12 points on the day or something, but
say last week the Bills were running the ball effectively against the Giants, but they couldn't pass on them at all. So,
and honestly, I would start Terry this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Terry gets 7 receptions, 100 yards, touchdown. I'm calling that right now.
You start Saquon for the Giants, and do you start anyone else?
No.
Same here. They need somebody to step up in that receiving core so bad.
Yeah.
Waller looked like had some plays against the Bills. If Waller can start getting more involved, and then a receiver can start doing something, then who knows? Their defense is decent. But
speaking of wide receivers stepping up, Lions go and visit the Ravens.
Yes. Oh, the Ravens are favored right now. Ravens are favored. On ESPN they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we get it done, baby. I'm all in on my Lions. Lamar's definitely going to pose a threat to us because of his mobility at the position, but I like our ability to cover and get to the QB, and I think we're going to disrupt the offense a lot, especially if the Ravens passers aren't catching balls. And if it turns into Lamar just having to try and find Andrews all day, I think that's going to benefit us.
Yep.
We are going to be without Monty. This isn't necessarily the game to just like, here, Gibbs, you're going to get 25 touches today and you're going to get half of them up the gut. He's not built for that, especially against a team like this. But Greg Reynolds he showed up on the injury report, didn't practice today, but I think he's going to play. I like him. He's doing good. I think my Lions are going to pull this one out, get revenge from last season. 27-21. And if it wasn't for Justin Tucker's NFL record kick, 66 yards, we would have beat him last year. If it would have been 1 yard longer attempt, it would have been short.
I think Ravens get it done. I think Ravens take care of business like 30-20.
Ooh. Got check for the Lions this week?
Yeah. But that takes me to Bills-Patriots. Bills are visiting Foxborough. Patriots are hungry for a win. Could they do it? No. I don't think so either. Josh Allen's a start. Diggs.
I think Diggs and Allen have top 5 statistical days at their position fantasy-wise this week.
Yep. Me too.
And James Cook's a start this week as well. I think
James Cook has been putting on a performance randomly, hasn't he?
Yep. It's been a lot of boomer busts, but running back in fantasy is something else as well right now. Wide receivers is the only steady
Zach
position
Moss.
at the moment.
It's crazy how I kept Zach Moss on my roster for 3 years. Didn't do shit. And then I let him walk finally.
Yep. Do you start anyone on the Patriots, even Ramadre?
Nope. No, I don't. I wouldn't. This is gonna be an ugly game for the Pats.
I agree.
I don't see like the only way Patriots win this game in real life is if they keep the Bills under 15 points, and that's
I don't see it happening without.
Yeah, neither do I.
No Christian Gonzalez or Matthew Judon. It's just not happening.
Yep.
This one's gonna be ugly. You start Allen, obviously. I always must start. Diggs is a locked in must start. And then Cooks. Do you start Dalton Kincaid or Gabe Davis? Davis is quietly having a decent season as well.
Davis is a flex. Kincaid maybe if I need a tight end. If I think he's gonna have like a top 16 day.
Okay.
So depending on what you got on your depth, maybe, but probably not. I think it's going to be wide receivers all day, mostly. They're just going to burn them. I think it gets ugly. Speaking of a game, I think it's going to get ugly. Cardinals, Seahawks.
Yeah, with no James Conner, they haven't been as competitive in games. And now that Kyler's coming back soon. He's off the IR. He'll be back to play sometime in the next 3 weeks.
What if Josh Dobbs just kicks it into gear, bro?
I think Dobbs has played pretty well so far.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I think this game gets ugly quick as well. I do not think that they show up. Arizona doesn't show up and make it. They're not going to make it a fight. They're going to roll over and take it this week. Seattle's going to win big, 35-17. And I'm starting DK. I'm starting Geno in 2 QB leagues. Kenneth Walker's a must start. He's a top 10 back every week now. I'm starting Lockett. I'm flexing Lockett actually. And the only player you should play at all, Marquise Brown on Cardinals, is flex this week. And that's just because he gets all the targets. He has no competition for targets. And they're going to be playing from behind all game, so
ugly.
if you need a real desperation dart throw, maybe Ertz at tight end because they're going to be behind. But
I think Marquise Brown could be a good start this week.
Yeah, it just depends on if they're going to have Witherspoon all over them.
They might. Usually they play quite a bit of zone coverage, so swap him on the sides of the field, you should be fine. That leads us into Steelers-Rams, which Deontay Johnson is coming back this week. It's supposed to be a big deal, according to Matt Canada. This is the big change that we've been waiting for. What we waited 3 years for. This is what this offense is supposed to be.
I think this
Do you
is
start anybody on the Steelers?
I think
Jaylen Warren.
Jaylen Warren, you can flex. The Rams are playing decent, but I think this is going to be an ugly defensive battle game. You're obviously going to start Stafford, Kupp, and Puka, and Kyren Williams is going to miss this week, so you don't have to worry about him. If you want to start the backup running back against the Steelers defense, that's on you, but I'm not doing it. Zach Evans is the pickup that people have been picking up. I'm not starting him. But I'd do Jaylen Warren. You flex Pickens as well. But
what about Deontay?
Yeah, I guess you could flex Deontay. If he's going to get targets from Pickett, then yeah. But this could be a game like in real life, like not fantasy-wise, that could play to where the Steelers have a shot at winning this game. If it turns into a defensive battle, that's exactly what the Steelers want.
Yep.
And
the Steelers want to make it an alley fight.
Yeah.
That's the only way they're going to win.
I can see this game turning into that. And I actually am going to pick your Steelers to upset the Rams. I don't even know if it's an upset at this point. I don't know. I mean, the Rams are favored to win, but I mean, they both have similar records. But yeah. I'm picking the Steelers. 2017.
Yeah, I'm taking Steelers too. I'm saying
that's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Also, a good game that's coming up at the same time slot: Chargers Chiefs. Divisional matchup.
I'm taking the Chargers just because for some reason Justin Herbert can't beat anyone but Patrick Mahomes.
That's true. That's true.
He plays good ball against the Chiefs for no reason. He plays his best against the Chiefs. So
I start Herbert this week. I start Keenan. I start Eckler. I start Mike. Oh wait, no, Mike Williams is on IR. I remember this time.
Do you start Quentin
Gerald
Johnson?
Everett. No.
I don't like the rookie right now yet either. He doesn't have a rapport with Herbert.
Yeah, it's not there yet. On Chiefs side, I'm still starting. I'm still starting at everybody that you start on the Chiefs. Like Mahomes. Fucking Kelsey's supposed to be back this week, right?
I think so. I think he's toughing it out.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be back. So, that's there. Pacheco, I'm comfortable starting every week.
Pacheco's definitely earned his dues this season so far.
Yep. Sky Moore, he's bound for a breakout game. It's just a matter of when. I don't think it'll be this week. Speaking of breakout games, Packers go to the Broncos. Jordan Love has a chance to go ahead and break out and be a top 5 QB this week, I think.
I mean, yeah.
Not because of him being so good, but because the Broncos are so bad. It's bad. It's bad over there in Colorado right now.
Yeah, this game's gonna get ugly for no reason because I don't. It is like you said, it's gonna be more because how bad Denver is and not how good Green Bay is.
Exactly.
But it's 30-14. Russ is honestly the only person that you start for any reason the rest of the season, in my opinion, on Denver, and it's only because he's having an all right Renaissance season at the moment. He's not even playing like great, but he's playing decent.
Yeah.
But
yeah, on Packers side, I'm starting Watson, I'm starting Love, starting pretty much just like the whole crew. If you got a Packer on your roster, I'd start him this week just because the Broncos are that bad. The Broncos are that bad. So,
yes, they are. Yes, they are. Oh.
A big fantasy game for this week. Dolphins visit Philadelphia. I'm thinking Philadelphia's pissed, but can they take care of the Dolphins?
I think they can slow them down a bit. They had the run defense to slow down the run game, but secondary is their weak link on their defense this year. So I think Miami takes it 34-28. And I think you start Hurts, Smith, Goddard, Swift, and AJ Brown. You start everyone on that defense or on that offense for Philly.
I'm thinking 31-17.
Ooh. I think Philly scores a lot of more points than that. But
we'll see.
I still think Miami wins the game. But I mean, the Panthers just scored 21 on them. I think the Eagles can do that. But
we'll see. Also like that was a lot of garbage time. Like they're up like 30 points already. Yeah, we're gonna let you. Against a team like the Eagles, you're hesitant to even let them get any air at all.
Yeah, I think Tyreek's gonna have a day again. I think Tyreek actually does. I think he hits the 2,000-yard mark this season for sure. It's almost a lock right now.
Yeah. What's he at right now?
836 yards, something like that.
Yeah. So this season, he's at 814.
6 games. That's just ridiculous.
There's a chance he gets 1,000 yards this week. He gets to 1,000 yards in week 7.
And AJ Brown, I think, is second in the league in receiving yards right now, and he's 150 behind him almost. I think you start Tua, you start Tyreek. I think this is a week that Waddle has the chance to pop back off and get going, and this is the week that Raheem Mostert's a cautious play. But
yep. All right. So final game of the week: 49ers visit Minnesota.
This one could actually get interesting.
I agree.
With no CMC and the way that the defensive line and Minnesota's starting to play.
It feels like the Vikings want to win, man. Like, you watch the Vikings and it feels like they want to fucking win.
I think CMC being out for San Francisco is going to hurt them more than Justin Jefferson being out for the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Not that JJ isn't great. And
you got Jordan Addison to at least like hedge off the damage a little bit.
KJ Osborne, and then it helps that your quarterback likes to feed the tight end 12 targets a game. Yep. And I think this is the one game that the San Fran's going to still squeak through and win. It's 28-24, but it's going to be closer than it should be, I think.
I think, I'm thinking like 35-14 San Francisco.
Mm.
Start everybody you got in San Francisco. Start Kirk Cousins, maybe. It's just tough because it's like,
Just start Hawk.
Start Hawk, yeah.
And Kittle on the other side as well.
Obviously. Anybody that's wearing red on that game, you probably want to be starting. Kirk Cousins, I'd probably start. Addison, I'd probably start. Osborne, I might flex. That's probably where I'm at.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it too. Um, man, oh man, I just it sucks for San Fran, it sucks for CMC that he went down, but that great teams need to be tested. They need to be tested.
Do we want to run through chat real quick?
Yes, I do. I would love that.
All right. So, talk about Mike Williams. Justin Herbert could still air him out. We talked about that a little bit before the show. They need to off Eckler for offensive line. Interesting. Ugly game, 49ers Browns.
I think they would have already if Joshua Kelly or one of the multiple times that Eckler's been out and then the backups had the chance to be the guy. They've always shit the bed. Never. If one of them could just show up when Eckler's hurt, I think they would have made that move already, honestly.
So, there's a rumor supposedly going around Patrick Surtain to the Steelers.
Oh my god.
Bro, and Joey Porter Jr. has been playing this dominant, like...
And what Minka? That would,
and
like...
Minka?
That would, like, on paper, that would...
And they got Patrick Peterson.
On paper, that would probably be the best secondary that any NFL team's ever had on the field at once.
Yeah.
And that's including the early 2000s Ravens teams, the 70s Steelers teams, the 90s San Francisco teams, and 80s. Heck, that includes the
And you got TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith.
I would say the Legion of Boom is probably like the only thing comparable. Like,
yeah. Imagine if they got Patrick Surtain, I would scream. I'd be so happy. You know, they might score an extra touchdown this season with Patrick Surtain, you know?
Yeah.
Terrell Davis was a stud. He had chronic migraine issues and would only miss a play or two during a flare-up. He earned every damn yard he got. Eli was streaky every season. He just got hot a couple playoff years. Ben over Eli 10 times. And I agree with that. Ben Roethlisberger is significantly better than Eli. I don't think that's a discussion. Not first ballot, in my opinion. I don't think Eli's first ballot, but he'll get in. Chat says he will get in. Chat agrees with me. Stafford is just as overrated as Flacco, just saying. Flacco just threw jump balls and was lucky enough to have wide receivers that could make him look good. Start anyone who plays against the Broncos. That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
He's saying start Pickens this week because Deontay Johnson should help free him up. It's going to feel more of a at-home game for the Steelers. LA fans don't show up and support their teams. Can we get an amen that neither the Broncos or Giants aren't playing a primetime game this week? And I think that's a great place to end the episode. Let's get an amen for that.
Yeah, I honestly, like, you know, Finally. I don't even want to, Ben, you were dead wrong about Daniel Jones. And that's how we're going to end it.
Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Follow me over on twitch.tv/derpimation. Follow our Facebook group over at the Sporting Lounge on Facebook. And follow us on TikTok. All of our media, please. We crave social attention. We need this. It's an addiction. It feeds us. This is how we eat. We don't eat normal substance like human beings do. We do not take caloric intake. We take internet intake of likes and media. So if you want to keep the podcast alive, we need it because we will die.
Yeah, what he said. Don't forget to follow 269 Gloves Up, Guns Down with Ricky. We have our trunk or treat on October 28th. Don't forget that. All the info is on our Facebook page.
Get my autograph. Boom, baby.
Yeah, we have some. We're working on a we're working on a website coming up soon, and soon we'll have merch coming out and a lot better organization of some things, and have some other major announcements coming soon as well. But until then, goodbye.
Mwah.